Hello and welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton, and welcome to another 24/7 news report. Big news today in the club. Absolutely monumental news for people who've been protesting and everything about the club. CEO Denise Barrett-Baxendale, Chief Finance and Strategy Officer Grant Ingles, and Non-Executive Director Graham Sharp have officially left the club, with the future of Bill Kenwright the decision about Kenwright will be made in the next 48 hours. But this is something fans have been clamouring for years now. The way how poorly the club's been ran, everything about it. It's finally time now for them to go, to get out, and it's been a tough run. But again, now I can imagine Bill's going in 48 hours too. It's one of those things where it's a good thing that it's finally behind us. The financial mismanagement, everything about the club, the lack of communication, the lies that have been spread by, or the apparent that have been spread by the club, I'll say. But it's one of those things where a lot of fans are going to be happy now. It's, there's a lot of people who said protesting wouldn't work. So, again, congratulations to everyone who's protested. Congratulations to every fan who, put their foot down and wasn't going to deal with our club being run like this. It's a monumental effort, like I said, from everyone involved, and it's in the end it's worked. And now we're in a position where a new board's going to come in. A new chairman's probably going to come in to replace, I think Kenwright's the chairman. He's going to come in to replace Bill, and it's hopefully going to be onwards and upwards from there. It's one of those where, a lot of people, there's not much transfer news today, but I'm sorry, I've just got to look at this to read an exact quote from Bill in a minute. But yeah, it's one of those where, thankfully, this has happened now. Better now than never. It gives us an actual full off season to a full transfer window as well. I know we're not going to be spending much money, but to have the structure put in place before the club probably starts going full in with the business, it's really good to see. Hopefully we get the right people involved. I don't know if it's going to be people from MSP or other people, but hopefully it's people who actually, know how to run a football club, because, a lot of things have been tossed around about these people. They don't know how to do the jobs for the boys with people like Graham Sharp. And it's one of those where now it's time for change, and it's time to be run like a Premier League club now. We've seen that teams like Brighton and Brentford and, not Aston Villa per se, but more Brighton and Brentford have shown that even with a small budget, you can work miracles if you've got the right structure in place at the club. And it's time for us to follow structures like that now, especially with the financial situation that we're in. We need smart people involved who know about football. And getting, a load of people who have no idea about football, it's shown it just doesn't work. So we need those people who know about football, who are or who are going to let people like the director of football actually do their job. With this story, it's more news coming in the upcoming days. We'll find out more in the future about this, and that'll be really when we get to talk about it, when we get to break things down. For now, we know they're gone, and good riddance to a lot of them, to be honest with you. You won't be missed at the club. Let's just put it simple like that. But speaking of Bill, this is a quote from Bill Kenwright. Let me just get it over. His exact words here: "This has been a great board who have worked tirelessly for the club, no matter what the circumstances. My relationship with Denise has been known as one of the closest in football. I thank her for her many achievements, particularly her magnificent work in respect of our new stadium." I can't really say I know how much impact Denise Baxendale, Barrett Baxendale, I think, had on the stadium, which she did. Fair play to her. But again, it's just blowing smoke up their own asses again. It's this refusal to admit the mistakes they made in the past. And instead they're just going, we were really good at our club. I just remember the quote of other boards looking and saying we want to be ran like Everton when we are arguably the worst run club in the league. It might not even be an argument for it. We probably are comfortably the worst ranked club in the league, and to have people who say stuff like this who just can't admit when they've made mistakes and can't move on from it. Like, it seems Bill probably wants his own spotlight, to be honest with you. Probably wants a big announcement to say he's leaving. He doesn't want to be lumped in with everyone else. That's probably what it is. But it's just good to see the back. Hopefully we see the back of Bill Ken right now as well, and this man's never involved in Everton Football Club again. So it's one of those where it's thank God it happened now. Thank God it happened early into the window. Thank God it happened early into these things, so we can actually move and focus on the football when we get the right people in charge. And hope, good luck to everyone on the rest of the future endeavours. But again, happy to see the back of them at Everton Football Club, to be completely honest with you. If we now move on To some more interesting news, former Everton manager Carlo Ancelotti is suing Everton and taking them to court. The claim relates to general commercial contracts and agreements and is listed to be heard in the commercial court. That's from The Guardian. I have no idea what he's suing about. No idea. Apparently it's unpaid stuff, but apparently didn't he have a release clause in his contract to go to a bigger club if he wanted to, like Real Madrid? So if we're going off how release clauses work, doesn't that mean we shouldn't have to pay him any of his contract? Again, I can imagine more financial details are out there about this, or you can find them on stuff like Twitter about this. I'm not a big expert on this sort of stuff. I don't really know the ins and the outs of the whole process, but it's sad to see someone with such a good reputation around Everton fans suing the club. But again, the club. It probably is the club's fault. We've seen them make mistake after mistake after mistake financially. It wouldn't surprise me if there's something in Ancelotti's contract where the club just has completely misread it and has not acted upon it, and now we're going to get sued for it. So if it's a thing where Carlo Ancelotti, it's in the contract to get paid money, he should be getting paid his money, to be fair. So I'm not going to judge a man for that. And yeah, it's one of those things where it's just 1 week. It's the 1 day of normal Everton, the 1 week of normal Everton. No, it doesn't happen. I thought we were going to get a week off this week. It'll just be transfer rumours, no big news. We'll move on. Nope. Huge news today with, of course, the Ancelotti news coming out earlier on in the day, and then the news about the board coming around half an hour ago, just after 5 o'clock it came out. So yeah, it's one of those where it's an interesting one. But let's actually move on to the only little bit of transfer news today we've got, and that's that coming from Fabrizio Romano. That French striker Moussa Dembele has been approached by several teams after becoming a free agent, with Everton and Galatasaray both informed on conditions of the deal. Saudi clubs are also mentioned. One thing we've got to see is, again with Moussa Dembele, is how much of it is it ambition, for the lad? How much of it is he wants to play European football and things like of that nature? So I don't really know. 83% of Evertonians said they would take Dembele at the club, and I'm in the same boat. Only scored 3 goals in Liga this season, which is massively disappointing. But if we go and we look at his past seasons, 21 goals and 4 assists in Liga and last season. He scored 16 in Liga back in 1920. He scored 15 again in 18-19, and he was an absolute monster, well known for scoring goals in the Scottish Premiership. So he has played a little bit in England for Fulham, not too much. He made 11. He played in the Championship a little bit with them, but he didn't really do too well. But Moussa Dembele on a free, unless we're paying him absolutely ridiculous wages, I don't see why not. Especially since there are rumours coming around that we have jumped into the race to offer 17 million for Gyökeres. I don't remember the source for that one. So it's one of those where it's an interesting one, and we'll find out more when that comes out. But Moussa Dembele on a free, as long as we're not paying absolutely ridiculous wages, I don't see why we wouldn't do this. I think it would be crazy not to do this, to get a striker of his quality in on a free, and it gives so much depth to the club, and it allows us to then maybe rest Calvert-Lewin a little more. And his profile, he'd fit the club perfectly, to be honest with you. But that is all the news that we do have for today. If you did enjoy, please make sure to like and subscribe. Follow us on Twitter. Now's probably the best time to follow us on Twitter, because there's going to be so many updates coming out about this whole situation with the board and what's going on with the new board, with the people who are going to replace with the interims. Now's the best time to follow us at Everton Newsfeed. Follow me on Twitter at Callum Branham3. And if you did enjoy, don't forget, I think I may have mentioned it already, to like and subscribe. And I will see you all for the next news or live stream video.